Hello, Gwenters. It's a Fireswarm Friday, and we are going to be running, for the first time actually, believe it or not, a Fireswarm deck on this channel. And here we're just going all in on the Fireswarm brand, clan, gang, whatever you want to call it, within the Syndicate faction. I feel like this will give you guys a little bit more understanding about how Syndicate works. I do have to give credence to Spyro ZA, as he has run a very similar version of this on his channel. But honestly, I had a deck like this, and I was interested to see how Sacred Flame would work. I wasn't super thrilled about it before, and then getting to thinking about how it could actually work really well with Ulrich, Grand Inquisitor Helvide, Diazire, and also our boys Procession of Penance and Fallen Knight. So we're going to try this out, show you how it works. Basically, the general idea of this deck is get out your Ulrich with your Fallen Knights for crazy tempo when you drop down Congregation or anything else that spawns your Firesworn buddies. So if you guys don't know this, whenever you play Congregation and you have a Firesworn unit in the same row, you're going to spawn 3 Firesworn Zealots. One of the biggest changes I've made from the prior deck that you might have seen from Spyro is the use of Lonely Champion. He's really good at just like soaking up the points of a row into one unit so you can keep spawning in a long round. But he also has immunity, so an opponent can't target him. So the typical problems of reset don't work unless he has 2 weaknesses, Igni and Yrden. But candidly, I'm not seeing very many of those out right now, and you can kind of get a sense for when they're going to come down. This deck is Devotion, and we're using Vivaldi Bank for consistency. It's a little bit cheaper than our Royal Decree, which is a specific unit, and it is quite a bit cheaper than Oneiromancy's rework at 13 provisions, so we're using that. Now, I am in love with Crystal Skull. While Vincent can wipe him off, it can draw out of Vincent early if Vincent wants to be played against that, but also it can protect against locks, poisons, which there are a lot of this season. Plus, it's just a little extra cushion of boost. Then we also have Horson Sr. in here with several crimes, Diazire being number 1, but we also have Excommunication, we have Bloody Good Fun, and then both of these Congregations. So we're going to get a bit of damage out of our boys if Horson Sr.'s folks stay around, his cut-up lackeys. And then finally we also have Tavern Brawl, which is going to force 2 adjacent units to duel each other. Oh, lots of fun times. So anyway, let's jump into a game. Biggest things to look out for, obviously, row punish, row resets. Lonely Champion can get you around some of that row punish, which is the other reason that we've included him. And I'm finding row punish to be more frequently included in decks than Igni or Yrden. So that's why we're using him. And you say, why Igni? Why Yrden? Well, Igni and Yrden destroy the highest unit on the row and reset all the units on a row. They don't have to target a specific unit. I guess technically Scorch could also get rid of Lonely Champion, though not very many people running that right now either. Although it could make a comeback. It does require initiative, meaning it has to be the first thing you do in a turn, period. No orders, no leader ability, nothing. Just go ahead and play that card, which Oneiromancy kind of ruins because it's played first. This deck also includes Mutant Makers, not really appreciated for their value, I think. Getting those 3 coins with the 4 points on the board with Devotion for free is quite useful. And you do have to destroy a unit in order to gain it normally. So here we're going to save Congregation. Smuggle, also good play for this first round. And then Helvide will get us several spawned Zealots. So I think here we'll probably use our Fallen Knight. I don't think we need Mutant Maker this round, though. Sacred Flame is quite a bit better. And we'll save Bloody Good Fun and Cleric of the Flame Rose. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to get 1 extra Fallen Knight to hand. I think that gives us a little bit more flexibility here. Now I think Roderick is one of my favorite. Just blue coin plays to make. He does have this passive coin generating ability, and I really do appreciate that when we're running other engines like Helveed and Sacred Flame. Hidden Cache still getting some traction, though I'm not enjoying it nearly as much anymore. I just think it's kind of fallen down, become a bit clunky. We do have Diaz Irie in hand, and it will get a death blow. Though I do have to say, most of the cards in this deck are Firesworn, and it's going to boost Firesworn allies regardless, so you don't even really need a death blow with it. We do need some more coins in order for Von Hurst to start working. And Helveed does have these 2 units he can proc. Question is when we want to use him. And here I think our best option is actually to just go ahead and play down Smuggle. Although that's 2 coins. Yeah, Smuggle is probably the best option here, as it gets us up to 5 coins at the end of this round. Making it so we can have a little bit more flexibility, get Von Hurst out, and then we can use Crystal Skull here on Von Hurst. Obviously, the Salamandra punish being annoying, but not enough to stop us. But now our Fallen Knight will come down. He'll get boosted by 1 after this procs, so it does give us a little bit more flexibility in that regard. And I recommend kind of going for either Sacred Flame or for a Congregation and Helveed. So you can kind of decide how and when to play each of these, but they do coincide with these Fallen Knights quite well. The other thing too is Diaz Irie is going to boost all units, whereas Sacred Flame has an order ability where you can use it the next turn, and it will boost all Firesworn units on a row. So we are going to stack a little bit here. I kind of don't anticipate my opponent to go super deep. They did use Ozar here. This is 3 Salamandra units. Gives some great flexibility to our opponent. A little intrigued here as to why our opponent is spending with Renegade Mage. Choices have been made. Now, Sacred Flame going really well here, as it's going to spawn 2 Firesworn Zealots. So our Fallen Knight is going to get back up to 5 at the end of this turn. So we're going to go ahead and drop this down. Like I said, I like to save this for a little bit later. I like to save Helveed and Congregation if possible. Here our opponent opting to pass. Works for us. I'm missing out on a couple of our the number 1 engine being Von Hurst here, but on blue coin, using Crystal Skull, getting some really great value out of that. Now, Horson Senior with a couple of these crimes is a very potent combination. I think we will just be using this to bleed out our opponent this round. We don't have any we don't really have any defenders in this deck, so we do have to find a way to kind of keep his cut up lackeys safe. With that said, so I'm just looking to see if there's something we're missing here. We are missing out on Jacques. We are missing Ulrich, so we will be recycling back in some of these cards. Although this round, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot with 2 different tutors. I would like to use both of those tutors before we get too far down the line. Here we are missing out on some points by spawning both of these Congregates, but though I don't see another great option, to be honest. I think the crimes we're looking to tutor here, we could tutor out a Smuggle right now. That'll get us some coins, as well as a spawned Firesworn unit that we can then proc with some of these other things. But I think I'd rather save those for the Fallen Knight for later on. So here we're just going to go ahead, start it off raw, start it off Wrigley. Get out Horson Senior and pay the tribute. You need to have 3 coins. Leader ability getting you 1 coin for each of those charges used. But here, getting out our cut up lackeys this is a great tempo play at 14 points, but also puts some serious pressure on the opponent. Enough to make them forfeit some games, but really hard to respond to. If both of these lackeys stick, each time we play a crime, it's going to do 2 damage each. So really great value there. Syndicate always leaves me a little bit out of breath because it requires so much explanation or Decksplanation, if you will. But tons of fun. I really do like playing with Syndicate. This is kind of a more fun way of playing with them. Think of this similarly to my Fear the Beasts deck earlier in the week, where this is just a deck where you can just have some fun. You don't have to think about it super hard in terms of what your opponent is doing and trying to curtail them. You do have to play around it a little bit with the row spawn. You can't play directly into Wild Boar like we did in that first game on Monday, but it is really fun. So here, again, we do have Horse on Senior earlier this round. Cleric of the Flaming Rose coming in here. Mutant Makers being good for the coins. And then Procession of Penance, we need to have out 5 different Fireswarm token cards. So here, what we're going to be looking for, we have this Cleric of the Flaming Rose and Mutant Maker. So I'm going to put one of these back. I'm looking for a Fallen Knight. We're not able to get that, but we do get some coins out of this Smuggle. That may be our blue coin opportunity here. Although I do really like Roderick and Lieutenant Von Hurst typically. I think we're going to be saving them, even though they do synergize really well with this Crystal Skull, just because we don't see either Ulrich or the Fallen Knights. Really wanting to find that combo package. So here instead, we're going to go ahead, get out a Smuggle, gets us some coins. Allows us also to transform this unit should we want to. Sacred Flame also finding some decent value here. We can go ahead and spawn 2 units, 1 on each side of it. Grand Inquisitor Helvide also a good option here. So we do have lots of options. And because we are saving up for Fallen Knights and Ulrich, here I think we're going to go ahead and spawn these 2 units. And we'll save Crystal Skull and play Horse on Senior, likely between these 2 cards. Now, Overwhelming Hunger revolves around Maruna stealing a 4-point unit. Oh, this is a good use of Bomb Heaver. But this actually plays well for us with Horse on Senior. But Maruna stealing a 4-point unit, and then Imperial Manticore destroying the lowest unit. So just some things that we should be kind of keeping an eye out for. Here we're going to save Procession of Penance, Grand Inquisitor Helvide. We only have 2 crimes, but I think that should be enough to put some real pressure onto our opponent. We're going to play out Horse on Senior, and then we'll use one of these Crystal Skulls to boost up one of these cut up lackeys, just to make sure we keep 1 on the board doing 1 damage. I'd also like to suss out some removal from my opponent now before we get into later rounds with some really powerful engines in Roderick and Lieutenant Von Hurst. Goliath here would normally draw out Procession of Penance, but here we can do some nasty stuff with Tavern Brawl, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Now we choose Noonwraith and then select Goliath. She'll do 6, he'll do 4 back, and then here we kill off Goliath. It draws out Lonely Champion, as we had a bunch of 4s available otherwise. And then we get these 2 rats to our side as well. It's a little bit unfortunate that we are missing our either Vivaldi Bank, Furco, or so we can try to get this Diaz Irie. This Diaz Irie against this Bomb Heaver would be quite valuable. Here instead, we're going to go ahead and use Congregation. Again, doing a bunch of damage with these cut-up lackeys. The longer our opponent lets this play into our hands, the more damage we do. Horse on Senior also carrying the Intimidate tag and getting boosted by 1 every time we play a crime. It's just, honestly, it's a little bit oppressive in terms of deck powers. This deck being very potent with Horse on Senior. You only need a couple of those crimes. And I had actually thought about removing Tavern Brawl, but here you see it finding incredible value against that Goliath and Noonwraith. Now we could play this Ulrich to boost up some of these other bronzes, but we really want it with Fallen Knight. Here we don't have Diazirie, we don't have a Volley Bank, we don't have Furco, so we are missing some tutors. And I think in this situation, putting on some pressure makes some great sense, just because we can bleed out a lot of stuff from our opponent. It is a monsters deck, so forcing them to make some Sophie's choice decisions, if you will, could be really valuable for us. But just as one example, this is a poor choice. I'll get into that in a second. But as one example, we want to get out Maruna. We want to get out Imperial Manticore this round. Force our opponent to make some of those tough decisions they don't like to make. This is a poor decision. I'm not able to spawn this Flaming Rose Footman, but that would really represent just like 1 point for this Fallen Knight. Instead, though, he's still going to generate these coins. We just need to find a way to get out some coins for our boy Lieutenant von Hurst here. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and use Ulrich and our Fallen Knight. Fallen Knight coming out boosted to 6. Really difficult to deal with normally. And then we can use a leader ability here and target that unit with excommunication. Just lots of options in the pocket for us. We just need to try to get up some points. But with excommunication, we will be looking for Diazirie, so we'll probably be playing that a little bit later into the round, just so we can get some value there. And here we're going to go ahead and use Von Hurst. We want to play him after Roderick, as Roderick will be getting 1 more coin. And then we'll just play one of these units. That way, Von Hurst's Horde is being triggered at 4 coins, with Roderick earning that coin first, and then generating these passive 2 points from the Firesworn Zealot. Say that 5 times fast. But then also generating points for this Fallen Knight, as units are being spawned each round, forcing our opponent to make some tough and difficult decisions about what they want to play right now. Now, Grand Inquisitor Helvede, we have to keep in mind what exactly is going to be happening with our coin count. But here I think we can get some massive points, though we want to get our Fallen Knight down first. We don't really have any need to save these Fallen Knights for a later round. We are kind of going all in here. We're missing 1 Congregation, a Smuggle, and that would have paired better with a 3rd Fallen Knight. But here 2 Fallen Knights will be, I think, plenty of power, plenty of punch to push our opponent out of this round. We might be going for 2-0 here. All kind of depends on what our opponent is willing to do. But because we're willing to do this, we're going to go ahead and just spawn 1 more here. I just want to be able to get this up to 7 points. That way it can't be removed. Forces some tough decisions for our opponent. It also gets a lot of these Firesworn tokens on the board. If you're counting with me, you know we are at 4, and we'll have a 5th with Von Hurst's ability right now, which allows us to play Procession of Penance with no loss, so really great value there. Now, Jacques is going to get 1 coin whenever you play a Firesworn card in the 3rd round, and because we are running pure Firesworns, it is quite valuable, but probably not entirely necessary this game. Instead here, we're just going to go ahead and make sure to take Grand Inquisitor Helvede, and we will be filling up both rows eventually, I'm thinking. I do want to say, you want to... I get so far ahead of myself. Well, you want to make sure your coin count is as optimized as possible. So here we want to get down to 5 coins, and then we'll play out Grand Inquisitor Helvede and use him until we go down to 3 coins, as that represents the maximum value we are able to get. And then Von Hurst giving these armor to these units, really protecting us from row damage, but we're also still set up here, our passive engine gaining a lot of value for us, again with 3 points per turn. 4 points with this 2nd Fallen Knight. Seeing here our opponent just struggled. Barghest coming down, consuming, I'm guessing looking for dominance. Not 100% sure there, but we'll use Procession of... actually, let's go ahead and use excommunication here. And we will go ahead and get out this Cleric of the Flaming Rose.
Hark, brothers. These are the words of scripture.
And we actually, we'll go ahead and pay the tribute here. We do get an extra unit, we do get a boost, and we sit still at 4 coins. So we're going to go ahead and pay the fee to transfer. We just want to make sure we're maintaining this point gap as much as possible. Our opponent now losing by almost, down by almost half the number of points we have. Our point generator is still working quite well. And notably, Banish shows you the top 3 cards, excommunication, sorry, shows you the top 3 cards of your deck and play one of them, so we know we're going to be drawing into the other 2 cards we saw, which is why I opted, honestly, for the worst of the 3 options. And here we are just about out of room, so I'm going to be saving Procession of Penance, as Jacques is going to be able to develop 2 of these, and forcing our opponent to make some tough choices. Again, this beast's still getting some value, but with us generating 4 passive points, I think it's going to be really difficult, very tricky for our opponent to catch up. We will have maximized our total point value pretty well here. Missing Diazirie, you could imagine Diazirie coming out a couple rounds ago, finding a lot of value. Igni here, taking care of this Fallen Knight. I had said before that I wasn't seeing a lot of Ignis. Turns out there are some. But this Igni barely scraping our opponent out of this round. Osril being used, Barghest being used, Dettlift being used, Beast being used, Igni being used. As you can see, just a lot of really good value turned around for us here. Now, Bloody Good Fun, I don't need. Jacques is a spender. Diazirie a bit late here, but could find some good value. We do need to spawn some units, though. So we will be taking a bit of a risk with Vivaldi Bank here. Just looking for one of these spawning cards, as we just need to get a couple more of these units. But we will be playing Fallen Knight first, trying to get some good value there as well. So our opponent will be playing behind this Defender. I anticipate they're going to be playing Haunt, which is a great card. Gives some great options to our opponent. And here, I always get into this habit when I'm making videos of overplaying. We really did overplay the first round here. Werewolf, an interesting choice. Just a 4-point card with immunity. Wondering why our opponent is deciding to stick that behind Cave Troll. But no matter. Here I think we'll go ahead and get out our Vivaldi Bank, as we might end up with some extra coins. This is perfect. Congregation is the card exactly that we wanted. Although we could have spent some more coins to get Furco. We chose not to do that because Jacques is himself a spender. And so we can go ahead and spend those same coins on Jacques. I probably should have taken some more time to explain that, but they were 3 cards apart, so it would have cost us 3 coins to get 2 points out of that other unit. And here we're going to go ahead and use Jacques Grandmaster, and then we can use Diazirie as our final play with Procession of Penance to try to keep this Firesworn Zealot alive. You do want to absolutely pay that tribute. We'll boost him up just by 1. Doesn't really matter. We'll just be waiting to boost him with the rest of the coins later. Just need to make sure that he sticks out on the board so that we can use this spender. Now, Diazirie is not going to find value for us in terms of damage right now, so we will save this. We will lose this 1 Firesworn Zealot, but we have 5 tokens now, so this Procession of Penance won't lose any value, instead coming out, and it does generate us a coin because it is a Firesworn card. And Diazirie is also Firesworn, even though it's a crime and it's not a unit. It should still count for Jacques, getting us a decent number of points just in spending play. So this, again, this is truly one of the more fun decks I've played with. I hope you guys enjoy it. We are going to soundly trounce our opponent here. Even though that does no damage, you see the boost come across, then you just spend all your coins. Jacques getting boosted up. Being a really good spender. I really like the change with his card. Honestly, in terms of leaders, Jacques is probably the best as a round 2 leader or as a non-devotion card. The 1 coin from Fireswarm's basically just going to him, giving you a little bit of flexibility. So as round 3, pretty good. Harald on crate, still the best round 3 leader in my opinion. And Ethne probably being just behind him, but Jacques being quite nice, quite good. Vraxis does have some purpose, but he's a little clunky a lot of the times. So that's where my rankings are. Let me know what you guys think. Please subscribe for more content. If you'd like to see more gameplay of this deck or any others, please join my Twitch, jump on my Discord, and whenever I'm playing, I always love to listen to requests and play what you guys are thinking of. I exist not for my own loving of specific decks or highly competitive decks, but instead to just be creative, to brew these decks, if you will, with you guys, and to come up with really creative plays that are also fun to play. And I really think this deck fits that bill. Thank you guys so much for joining. Good luck on the path, and until next time, good luck and keep on Gwenting.